Sharp, Pastor Jonathan YPJ Miller, and Pastor Welton Smith.
Headlines and more tonight on the Book of Numbers. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Book of Numbers. We're super excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening. I know there's so much going on, and quite frankly, I'm kind of tired of seeing a lot of the news. I'm tired of social media. I'm tired of so many things, but at the end of the day, we're still making it happen and making it do what it do. So thank you so much for joining us. Go ahead. We have to go ahead and hit the headlines. Sorry, guys. I'm tired of social media. I'm tired of so many things, but at the end of the day, we're still making it happen and making it do what it do. I'm so sorry. I was sharing it for a watch party. So listen, I might suck, but it's one of those weeks anyway. All of us have had it. Let's talk about the headlines. It has been a crazy week, and celebrities have been showing their tail. When I say showing their tail, did you guys see Trina? Trina, who is a rapper from Miami, who we probably never would have expected to respond like this, went on an interview and told us how we need to stop black on black crime and how we're acting like animals and we need to get it together and we're embarrassing ourselves and so many other things. And here's the thing. Please, people, let's stop talking about black on black crime. Let's just be honest. Black on black crime is about proximity. And so we'll work on black crime. We work on white crime. And that's just working on crime. People don't go and find people who live in completely different neighborhoods just to kill them. People kill over beef and rivalry and issues like that. You can't rival somebody who lives 50 minutes away from you. So let's stop with the black on black crime. It's just, I'm tired of it. It's old, it's tired, and we just really need to give that one up. How about this? We know we're in a place where many people are feeling like they need to use their voice and influence. As a matter of fact, I've actually been upset with people sometimes for not using their voice and influencing. But here's the problem with influencing and using your voice. Sometimes you kind of overvalue your voice. Like some of the celebrities who are coming out to tell us that it's time for us to stop marching, like Steve Harvey, who had the nerve to say we need to go home. First, let me say this. Nobody needs to go home. Stay out there until November because America has a very short memory and we need to make sure people remember that what is happening right now and don't forget when it's time to go to the polls. On another hand, we got Lori Harvey, who is his daughter or stepdaughter, who someone said, not me, I didn't say it, but someone said was America's favorite sugar baby, who had the nerve to tell Black America, I guess, or the rioters and protesters that they went too far because they looted her friend's store. Now, I'm not saying this is true. This is allegedly the word on the street based on what they're saying in the comments of the Shade Room. They said that her friend's store was not looted, that they may have allegedly looted the stuff themselves for a little insurance money. I don't know if that's true. That's just what the people in the comments under the Shade Room said. And if that's true, Lori Harvey, sit down. And so she didn't say anything about Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, or George Floyd. And finally, they went ahead and told her that she didn't have a voice if she didn't have anything to say about that. And she said, I've just been searching for the words to say about Ahmaud Arbery. And this is what I have to say. It was real ridiculous, okay? So then we know that the Harveys are jacked up when it comes to this. But then we have Drew Brees. Drew Brees, y'all's favorite, from the New Orleans Saints, went and took the conversation wherever he wanted to take it, which was to the flag. Now, let me make it very clear. If you're still talking about peacefully and quietly kneeling during football games, you don't even need to open your mouth because that is not what this is about. And if that's where you're stuck, then you need to stay in that place by yourself. Then we got Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods came on to tell us how sad he was that all of these things were happening and how unfortunate it is. And then he told us that, he's always believed in the police and he knows they do right by people. But this time they crossed the line. And I just want to know, did we really all save him from like going into no man's land because nobody was really messing with him or white America was no longer messing with him? Did we really save him for him to talk like this? Sometimes we got to know when to, number one, let people go. And then every now and then we got to know when to just not cancel people, but mute them. And then people need to learn how to mute themselves. But I don't want to stay on negative things too long today, so I got to go ahead and give big ups to Ben and Jerry, who is steadfast and unmovable. They're unwavering in how they feel about Black America and Black Lives Matter, and they have made a statement. And I think that's the only company I can think of who didn't just make a statement, but they called out white supremacy. And I was like, go ahead. Listen, I'm going to buy me some Cherries Garcia tomorrow. While I talk about how Ben and Jerry's got it right, you should also know that my absolute favorite Bluebell did not get it right. They haven't said one thing. They're right down there in Brenham, Texas, down the street from Houston, where George Floyd was from, and they had nothing to say. Ain't that nothing? So I think I'm going to have to hang up Bluebell, and I don't even know what ice cream I'm going to eat. Well, I'm going to buy Ben and Jerry's. Let me make that clear. Even if I don't like it, I'm just going to commit to buying a pint a week, maybe 2, because I just have to support who's supporting us. And then we had somebody, Miss Malaysia 2017, who told us we were born American and Black for a reason. And we need to make sure that we just relax and handle things and take the lesson that God has given us. Anyway, she's crazy. So, but you know who always gets it right? Jack from Twitter. Don't forget Jack from Twitter, who owns Twitter, gave the Black Church PAC $1 million for Mass for the People. And he's made really strong statements during the protests and riots, and we really appreciate that. Nickelodeon also shut down for 8 minutes and however many seconds. I think it's 46 seconds. But a lot of people were saying on the Shade Room, we're not surprised that Nickelodeon was shut down and support us, because they also used to shut down their programming and send us outside to play. I think that's great. Netflix also made a pretty decent statement. I really appreciate people who are making decent statements, at least right now, so I'm going to keep going ahead and giving Netflix my $12 every month, because they do that. And they give, I think, 1 year of, postpartum, what do you call that? Maternity leave. And I really appreciate that. And so I really have to just shout out the people who are really doing it right. And I think we're in a good place right now to be honest about the fact that many people have chosen to be silent on this. And I'm trying not to stay there, because I want to look at the good more than look at the evil. But let's just be clear. There have been many people who have chosen to be silent in this situation, and those people need to be checked. I also saw the Black man who I heard was a Christian artist who was on there crying, talking about, we got to stop this because now police officers and white people are getting killed. What? I don't know what these people are thinking about today. But what I do know is we have had a strong show of solidarity in this country and in this world. I think for the first time that I can remember, there are people in all 50 states who are protesting and standing with us, who are proclaiming Black Lives Matter. I think that is beautiful. So I want to give us a chance to go ahead and watch this video that we put together just to show what's happening in this country and to remember there are more for us, we hope, than against us.
Thousands of protesters who had gathered quite peacefully.
Breaking news tonight, the rage across America, chaos in cities coast to coast.
Situation here in Santa Monica, California is very fluid. You can see police here now firing tear gas into the crowd.
Gosh.
That's a photographer.
That's
going on now.
member of the press.
Now there's just a lot of violence erupting.
Looking for someone to devour. Resist it. Stand firm in the faith. Because you know that your brothers throughout the world are undergoing the same kind of suffering. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered for a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm and steadfast. To him be the power forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
So now that we've seen this video, let's go ahead and spend some time with Stephanie so she can talk to us about what's happening in data and check-ins and what we have coming up.
Hi, Bree. Hi. First, just to see all of these people all over the world engaged in a consolidated effort to eradicate social justice in this country That is just the boost that I need. I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm gonna be transparent. I am tired. I am exhausted. I have been working, just like the rest of us, to be able to make a difference. And we're not at the end of our journey. We're at the beginning of a long journey that has already been over 400 years. And now we have to keep pressing, and we are exhausted. And so right now, I think that we need to check in on each other. We need to consult with our council, our Black friends, our Black family members, our Black neighbors, to give each other comfort and to then mobilize, which is why we're working to bring you a faith and race pastor poll and congregant check-in. This is some work that will be coming up, but we wanted to take this time today to really highlight this work that we're doing and to let you know that it's coming. We're working really hard to get this right. And this will allow pastors to hear from other pastors on how they are taking action, to be able to listen to your congregants and reach them with critical support, with the word. And that has kept us together for all these years. And being able to create a valuable comparison to see the country at large, because this will be done on a national scale. And while today we're talking to Black pastors and leaders, this will be a nationwide thing that would include pastors all over the country. And there's valuable comparison that we can look at in that and see opportunities where we find commonalities and seeing areas where leaders in non-Black communities can step up and support, and mostly join in together to do the work, the hard work that is so critical. This is America's problem. This is not Black America's problem. This is America's problem. When I hurt, America hurts. And apparently so does the world. So we just wanted to take this time today to not so much talk about the data that we have collected, but let's talk about some data that we want to be able to get from you, so that we can start to and continue to really activate our communities to do the right changes and to be able to make the right impact and continue the work that we're already doing, but then also do that and bringing in some other folks and letting them know that it's time for them to step up too. And if they are already doing the work, thank them, and let's get them some more instruction.
Yeah, I'm with you, Stephanie. I'm really excited about the opportunity to even deploy this check-in. We know good and well that this is something that we don't always get to do, right? We don't always get to hear from people that quickly. I must admit, though, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous about what we may find from some of our non-Black brothers and sisters. I'm almost afraid to see what that looks like, but I'm trying to be hopeful. And I'm hoping that, I'm surprised by the level of solidarity and positivity that we get to see.
I think that this is a critical moment, right? Everyone is watching. You were just talking about the celebrities and the organizations that get it right and the ones that haven't. And the thing is, people are going to remember that. And I think that these pastors that may have been more hesitant in some communities to step out and call a spade, will probably have more pressure right now than they've ever had to actually respond and to have something to say, and not just have something to say, but then to be listening. And that's what part of this is about. The first intention, of course, is to have Black leaders be able to communicate and see what other Black leaders are doing, to be able to reach out to their congregations in a real strategic and efficient way. But then also really to start having our communities talk to each other in a dialogue about where we are and how we feel, and to be able to acknowledge that racism is a problem in America. I know we know that. I know that's very clear to us. But I think that as ministers and as leaders of faith, I think this is a time, especially for pastors, to come together and to challenge, like Rihanna said, pull up. I think now is the moment to ask some people to pull up and then also do the work that we really need to do right now. So, I think this is not an easy thing. I think that we might find some things in this that are challenging, but it's not something that we don't know. Okay, for the church, for the Black churches that finding out some information about some other communities, and first of all, I think that we actually will be partially surprised, because I think that the video that we just saw, we wouldn't have guessed would even be possible to make. Right? That's not something we've seen before. We didn't know that people in Japan, I've seen people in Japan protesting. You would never imagine that that could happen. So I do want to say, let's have hope, actually, that in this moment, is that hearts can change. And I can honestly say, from my own perspective and my own personal life, I have been watching this happen on a one-to-one basis with people that I know. And so I don't want to dismiss the possibility that a lot of allies can show up in a way that we didn't expect, because we're seeing that already, especially in the faith community. I know there's a lot there to unpack, but I think that God does give conviction. We either believe it or we don't. And so I think that there's a real opportunity here. And then for the data that might show that, we're not as connected as we talk about, I suppose. I think that is just an opportunity. The point is not to make people feel soothed by taking it. It's to address issues, and it's to be adults and deal with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away because you don't talk about it.
Right.
You know?
And it doesn't go away if you don't know the numbers and you don't address them. And so, you got to know what you're dealing with, so that you, first of all, want to be good stewards, right? And then, I think we spend so much time making assumptions. Everybody has such great discernment that we don't need numbers, and that's just not real. We do need numbers. We do need to see that 75%, 50%, 25% of, white churches are doing this to combat race relations or race issues. And I think those are things that we have to get to the point where we stop making all the assumptions in the world about what's going on, and we just know whatever is true. And so I really appreciate you. I always appreciate our time together. Stephanie LaFleur, we'll be back. We'll have you back in a couple of minutes. But while we go ahead and prepare for a transition, I also want to remind everyone to go to irunbmc.com/events to go ahead and take the poll. And you can also sign up as a network on the platform, so that you can do your own statistics and have your own data from your own church that you can either customize, or you can deploy surveys that we already have to hear from your church. Even when it comes to returning to church, you don't have to do the work alone. You don't have to stay in the shape that you're in, because these surveys can help put you back and return you to church together again. So go ahead and deploy the survey so that you can see what your church needs. There are a number of surveys, and that can be found at weeklypastorpoll.com/BMC. Now, I'm so excited to tell you that we have our next guest coming on. Our next guest tonight, we're going to be Bree Squared, because I'm bringing on Brianna Sharp from Chicago, Illinois, or she's in Chicago, Illinois, originally from Georgia. And I'm really excited to have her here, because she's an amazing person who happens to be my friend, who has a single coming out, and who is just an amazing woman on her own. So I want to present to just a few, right? Because everybody already knows her. But I have to want you to welcome her. So go ahead and push the hearts or the likes, or put a little clap in the hand, or give us a little fist bump in solidarity, whatever you got to do to say hey to Bree Sharp.
Hey, Bree.
How you doing? You look good.
Thank you. I tried to put on a little something for you. Only for you.
Listen, you did it. Okay, you're giving us all this animal print loveliness and a red lip that I love.
Listen, I'm just trying out here.
I hear you. Listen, I think we got to the point where we all knew how to manage COVID, at least. Yeah. And at first it was like, if it's not one thing, it's the other. Now I'm just grateful we got the chance to really manage COVID and kind of like get, some type of footing before everything else happens. And unfortunately, It's like you're waiting for the next shoe to drop. Okay. It's like, okay, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. Like, we do know this is not going to just end immediately. So it's kind of scary wondering what's next. How you doing, Bree?
I'm hanging in here, like each day I think I'm on edge, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is going to happen next? So if anything, I'm trying to protect my mental health. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to stay positive out here. I'm setting up boundaries for myself. I'm taking breaks from social media, the news, just to, stay sane in this season because it's difficult. It's so difficult.
Yeah, it really is. It's like we're just trying to grasp for some type of peace, like just trying to get whatever we can find out here, that's good and hold on to it. So listen, but one thing I do know, well, first of all, can we just lament the fact that we would have been together this week in Hampton, Virginia?
I was thinking about that. I'm like, I'm in mourning.
Seriously, like that's kind of, it's not all we have, because I usually see you at least 3 times a year outside of that, but I mean, dang, like we need that time together for that week.
Yes. It was like a HBCU homecoming for preachers.
Boom! Seriously, and we are gonna like legitimately feel it, like missing a homecoming. Yes. I just don't even know what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have to take one of these Thursday nights and at least have like a girl chat and bring on all the homies so we can at least talk to each other and hear what everybody is doing and let the world in, because I miss y'all. I really do.
We miss you.
Really do. And for those of you who don't know, Bree has an amazing spirit. She's as sweet as sugar, but she also don't play. And sometimes you don't get both, So I do worry. Like when I saw Pastor Sharp going viral, my big sister instincts kicked in, and so I was in them comments. You know what I mean? Like who got to say what? But I was also concerned with you. It's still a lot. I don't care if it's good or bad, and I know the majority of the comments were good, but still, just even the attention sometimes, can be too much. And so while everything was going on, and I know that it wasn't your video, I was just like, how's Bree doing? You know what I mean? Like, how's Bree handling all of it? Because you guys transitioned not long before the pandemic. So what is it like being a worship leader who's still fairly new in the middle of a pandemic in virtual church?
You know what? It has not been as difficult as it may seem. And I think it's because of the church we are serving at now. Fellowship. Shout out to Fellowship Chicago. If you're in the building or on the live, put your anchors up. Show us some love. But it has been very different, not difficult, but different to try to serve a church family virtually. When you are used to being in person and loving on the people and hugging them and being present. And so the transition of moving into, my husband was an associate pastor last year, and now we transition into, senior leaders. So he's the senior pastor, and now I'm the first lady. And so I feel like Fellowship has really embraced us and welcomed us with open arms. They're constantly checking on us, making sure that we're good. Because they know that we're away from our family. And so they have become our family, do y'all need groceries? Don't go to the grocery store. We got y'all. Like, they really have stepped it up. And so we're just grateful for that. But yes, we do miss our family. We can't be there with them, but we're pushing through.
Yeah.
We're pushing through.
Yeah, well, you're more than pushing through. You're pushing and you're productive, because I hear you got this song coming out. Tell us, Bree. Well, first, before you tell us about the song, when did you start making it? So did you have to do any of it in the pandemic, or was it already ready to go before everything happened?
I actually wrote this song last year in August.
Okay.
August of last year, and it came from a place I was really dealing with mild depression, just low. We had just moved to Chicago in March, and it was August, summertime, so we're still trying to adjust. When you move into a new city, especially like Chicago, you're trying to adjust to the culture, you're trying to adjust to the people. And so as we're transitioning, I found myself kind of like getting lost and didn't know where was I supposed to be serving? What am I supposed to be doing now? Yeah. And that song was birthed out of me being in a very low place. I mean, extremely low. And I wrote the song, recorded it, and literally put it aside. I was like, okay, I'm not about to do nothing with that, because I don't know what the people are going to say, or I don't know if I'm going to sound like the sound that the people are used to. I mean, just all in my head and literally fighting myself.
Yeah.
And so I just put it away, put it aside. But it was our minister of music, actually our MD, our musical director, who reached out to me at the top of the year. And he's like, Lady Bree, you know, that's what they called me. He's like, you done recorded this song. We got to do something with it. Like now. Now is the time. I'm like, okay. March comes around. And he said, okay, now it's no excuse because now we're all quarantined. We all at the house. So it's time for you to release this song. And so he really pushed me along, of course, with my boo. And like close friends, but I was extremely nervous, but I had to be obedient. And I just went on ahead and said, hey, I'm releasing this song for me. Nobody else. It's for me.
Yeah. I understand what you mean. You know, every time I produce, I do the same thing. I mean, my card game was ready a year. I mean, I knew I was doing a card game and I was almost there a year ago. And then all of a sudden, you know, it was right before the pandemic. It was like a month before. I was like, let's go ahead and tell everybody about it for Black History Month. And in the pandemic, people were like, we need the game, you know, and so everyone virtually. And I've done so many virtual card game party hosting. So I know what you mean because it's a cruel world, Bree, you know. It's difficult to put something out there and not know how people are going to respond. But I encourage you to read this book because you're creative. It's called Van Gogh Blues. It talks about what creatives go through, like the highs we get and the lows we get, and how to come in and out of them without like doing too much damage to our emotional and mental health. And it's pretty much saying if you know you get low before you release something, you get high once it's released, and then shortly after you go low again, know that and do your highs and lows, just come out of them quickly. Like, so instead of fighting it, because it's actually a part of your creative process, just keep it going instead of trying to fight it, stay there a little longer. But it's just beautiful. But I encourage you to read that book. But tell us about the song.
So the song is called Free. And yes, there it is. The song is called
I
Free.
love it.
Thank you. And it's literally, I'm telling you a story of basically where I was last year, just mentally and just, you know, holistically where I was. And it talks about how I'm constantly in my head, and my inner me is my enemy, and how I'm like battling with myself. But as you continue to listen to the song, you get to the end, and it's like you finally reach your freedom. So I'm taking you on this journey. That's the whole point of the song. The song starts off one way, but by the time we get to the end, it's like, oh wow, like I've been on this journey with you. And I love the fact that just because I created this song does not mean that, oh, I'm just set free, I'm done. No, being free is an ongoing journey. You know, it's a life journey. It's a mindset change. And so that's something that I am embracing, and I'm going to continue to embrace it. And yes, I know I'm going to hit some stumbling blocks, but it's part of the journey. It's part of the journey.
It is. And you know what I appreciate is that you're there at this age. You know, like it is always beautiful to see, but it's a little sad to see too people who are like much older and like finally I found freedom. And I'm like, dang. You know what I mean? Like this whole time, and you get to a place of freedom. So I think it's beautiful that you found it at this age, or at least how to get there. You know what I mean? Even if it means getting there over and over and over again. Yeah. It's a real testament to, you know, younger women and younger just believers and just younger people, you know, that there is a journey, but there's something at the end of that journey that makes it worth it. Now tell me, is this upbeat or is it slow? Because I just want to know if I like need to work on my little skills, or if I can just like nobody roll Bree.
So it's not upbeat. So it's more of this. It starts off. It's so interesting. It starts off one way. It starts off with this acoustic chill feel, and then as you continue to listen to the song, it kind of turns into this worship style by the time you get to the end. So there's different. It's like different genres because that's who I am. Like you can't box me into one style of music. Like I want to bring all of me to my work. So that's what you're gonna get.
I love it, Bree. When is it gonna come out?
So It's coming out this summer, and prayerfully it'll be out like in a couple of weeks. That's exclusive information.
Oh, you better give me the tea, girl.
But yeah, I'm praying that it'll be out like very, very soon. But I wanted to be safe and just say, hey, it's coming out this summer. So
I totally understand. We can't wait to hear free company. You know, we'll do anything we can over here to make sure we support you in every way we can. I believe in you every day of the week. I love you every day of the week. I trust you every day of the week. And so I'm really excited to know that the rest of the world will be able to know you in some new ways. I really think this is going to be amazing. And I appreciate you not doing just the perfect version of yourself, but giving, more without telling everything. Let's just be honest. We live in a world where we get very little privacy.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's just give everything away, but I do appreciate you showing people the complexity of greatness, because you are great. But I appreciate you showing the complexity of greatness, because it doesn't happen overnight and it doesn't always happen quickly. But I'm surely happy you're here.
Thank you. I love you, and I really appreciate this opportunity for you bringing me on the show.
Absolutely. You know I love you. You know I do. And so I don't know when the world is going to open back up, but whenever it does, we'll see each other. We always get some good time in together. And so
yes,
right back where we left off. You know what I remember, Bree? We didn't take a picture the last time we were together when I was in Chicago, right?
No, and it was snowing so bad. I do remember that.
Was. But how about this? I had the same sweater that October that I had the year before with you in Georgia in October when we took a picture.
For real.
I know. How crazy is that? Because it came up in my memories when I left you like the next day, and I was like, Bree! I was like, we don't need no picture. I had on the same clothes.
Yo, that is hilarious. Come on.
Seriously.
It's all good.
Seriously. Yeah, but you know how we do. We're going to have some good food. We're going to have some good conversations. I got so much to tell you. I'm probably going to have to go ahead and call you and FaceTime you to catch you up. But yeah, we'll have a good time the next time we see each other. So know that I love you and I'm praying for you and I believe in you. And thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us.
I love you too. Thank you again. Be safe out here, Bree.
Listen, doing my best. And you too, because y'all been doing a lot of good philanthropic work. And so I appreciate the work y'all doing. Take care of yourself in the meantime. And tell my brother I said hey and I love him.
I will.
Hey, you take care. I'm so glad you guys got to meet Bree Sharp. Well, you probably already knew her, but at least you got to spend some time with her. And now I'm super excited to introduce you to someone who, well, you'll see what I mean when you meet Pastor Welton Smith. We're going to have him on to make sure we're talking about innovative models as we do every single episode. So we're going to have Pastor Welton Smith from Detroit, Michigan and New Life come on and talk to us about what he's doing in the midst of COVID and what's happening, in the midst of all of the protests and riots that's going on. Actually, I heard he's not here yet. So we're going to go to another one of my friends, and we're going to go to Pastor Jonathan Miller. And Jonathan Miller is better known as YPJ. He is Instagram's, put him on so I can see him real quick, Brandon, so I can see his face when I say that. He's Instagram's thirst trap. The pastoral thirst trap. Listen, I'm really tired of the text messages and DMs I get about this young man of God. He should begin.
I'm young.
Just in a moment. Doesn't happen. He should begin to pay me for the, me trying to filter through all these people. I remember the first day I met him, we happened to be on TV when we met, and I got a message immediately. I think I went to go sit down, or as soon as he sat down, I got a message, and I was like, here's the text message I just got. The person wants me to show you. And so that's totally how we began our relationship, and it still happens to this day. But he's much more than a thirst trap, people. He actually is. He's an amazing pastor and musician, and he's really a legitimately good person. But I've noticed something happening, Pastor Miller, these days.
What's that?
Your voice and the tone of your voice seems to be changing in this moment of, I don't like the word unrest, let's say solidarity and protest.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? Is this something that you just feel is more relevant now and like has to be heard and you kind of turn the volume up on it? Or is this something that we wouldn't really hear from you if we weren't members of your church?
Yeah, I'm really militant. I tell people all the time, I'm not Martin, I'm Malcolm. But a lot of what I do is local because that's you have to understand. Anytime you take a stance against injustice, you bring a lot of stress to your heart. People don't under people are some. I want to lead a movement. Somebody told me the other day they was like, "Man, you could be the next Martin Luther King." I said, "Bro, they killed him. I'm straight." But when you're dealing with injustice and standing against systemic racism, there's a lot of stress that comes to your heart, negative attention that's directed toward you. So my primary focus is helping my congregation and dealing with the things that are happening here. The reason why I've been more vocal, Bree, if you want me to be honest with you, is I've seen so much silence. And I think I've been disappointed by those who I was ready to follow and say, okay, when this guy speaks, I'm going with him. Or when this lady speaks, I'm going with her. And a lot of them have been silent. And so at some point, you have to realize the problem that you see in front of you. Are you going to continue to wait for someone else to solve it? Or are you going to get involved? And so that's why I've been more publicly vocal utilizing my social media platform. But honestly, I've always been one that's been against injustice, always been considered militant, the angry black guy, all of that. But recently, I've just felt it necessary to say more.
I really appreciate that. And I'm with you. There are people who, I was really messing with, and I would have followed. And then all of a sudden they didn't have anything to say. Or, another thing they do is they say something so weak and so thin that they might have not said anything.
Yeah. That's my biggest issue. That's my biggest issue right now with a lot of my Caucasian brothers and sisters that have asked me continually, what can we do? And my thing is, the first thing you can do is make a public confession that what is happening is wrong. Don't give us a blanketed statement of, we love Jesus and we stand for justice. No, I need you to say that it was wrong that black man was killed by a police officer's knee on his neck. I need you to say that a threat to injustice against this group of people is a threat to our justice as well. I need you to say that there is disenfranchisement. I need you to say that there's inequality in America. I need you to tell me where you stand. And if you do that, that measure of support is going to bring the solidarity that we're looking for. But what you're seeing is a lot of blanketed statements because, and I'm just going to be honest with you, a lot of them are connected to those who financially fund what they do. And the fear of the disconnection from the money has them silencing their mouths. But if the relationship is really as genuine as you say it is, I need you to make sure that you tell me where you stand. Because if somebody put their knee on my neck and kill me, don't give a blanketed statement after all the times I've preached for your church and ministered for your congregation and been there for you. I need you on the front line saying they killed my brother. That was my friend, and justice has to be served.
Yeah. And, I'm with you. I always tell people, don't let anybody, if something happens to me, don't let them tell you, she wouldn't want this. She wants you to, protest peacefully. No, I don't. Okay. Burn it down.
No, we know you. We gotta be like,
absolutely. I'm like, I might not literally want you to burn everything down, but I want them to feel like the country's on fire. You know what I mean? I want them to feel like if they don't get it right. But this is the tricky thing. It's like, people keep saying, is this what King wants? And I don't even like when they say that because you killed him. We don't really know what he wants in this day. But they say things like, King was for what? Tell me.
Don't get me started. And we want to talk about Dr. King first and foremost. The only people that are saying is this what Dr. King wants are evangelical whites and those who celebrate a dead black man. Because America loves to celebrate dead black men. Oh, he's dead. Now you can talk about how great he was. Dr. King's approval rating amongst blacks and whites was so low while he was alive. The man looked like he was in his 50s. I think people don't understand. He was in his 30s. Right. The man was in his 30s, but he was so weighed down by the disappointment, the rejection, the different people that lied on him, et cetera, on and so forth. And the thing that's so crazy is people didn't know that Dr. King had a very militant side. He just was a man of great restraint. So toward the end, they didn't kill Dr. King because he had a dream. They killed him because he had a plan. He was getting ready to implement a boycott that they were going to follow. And that's when they took his life. As long as they were protesting and there was really no progress made. But he started to get the knowledge that if we're going to stop him, we got to hit him in the pocketbook. And he was so amazing at planning and strategic in his protests that everything he did was effective. So they knew if this dude actually mobilizes this boycott, they're going to ruin the economy. You got to understand the black dollar is, and still is, was so powerful that it could have literally destroyed the whole economy. So for everybody talking about what would Dr. King have done? Dr. King would have had us take all of our money, take it out of all of your banks, stop fooling with y'all and move in a different direction. But you don't do your Dr. King research because you just celebrate Dr. King Day because he's dead. But if you knew about Dr. King for real, you would know why they killed him.
Yeah. That's right. You know, they always talk about he had a dream. They didn't kill him for a dream. They killed him because he had a plan that was going to be America's worst nightmare. And we don't want to be in that king. And then when they talk about these peaceful protests, this is what I trip on. They're like, but he wanted peaceful protests. As a matter of fact, toward the end of his life, he said that peaceful protests actually didn't have enough impact anymore because people were sure that the protests were not going to interrupt or disrupt their lives. And so he was also spending a good amount of time with Malcolm. And so we really don't even want to know the king that would have been like the king 5 years. We would have been like, yeah, you better get it. You know what I'm saying? Like they weren't ready for that version of king. And so they're not going to restrict me to a version of king that they want to believe. You know what I mean? Like you can't keep stopping at a dream speech. So tell me this, in all of this that's going on, I have my own thoughts about, you know, what we need to do. And I'll say this, they keep saying we need a strategy. You need a strategy when you have a president you can reason with. You cannot reason with this president. So all these, we need bills and we need public policy. This man ain't about to, this is about local government at this point. That's the only people you can actually reason with. And so many of them are so fearful of him that I'm not sure we can get much out of that. But I also think that there's going to be something in them, in protesters continuing to protest. Because I think that's almost all we have right now, because we need to make sure we're at the place where we do not allow America's memory to forget where we were once November comes.
Absolutely. You know, the thing about a protest is it requires persistence. People talk about the bus strike. That thing took over a year for them to actually see the impact of what was necessary for change. I believe that politics does start at the local level. And most people are so focused on the personality in the White House that they're not considering the policies. The personality can't hinder the policy changing if you get the right people in political seats. We don't do the research for local seating. We don't do the researching for the people that actually have the impact to represent our voices in the different areas. We just kind of like Donald Trump, Joe Biden, but we don't know who's on the school board. We don't know who's on the city council. We don't know who's involved in the Senate, who's involved in the House. We don't do the research. And the media does such a great job of making us believe that that's the only way you can have an impact is by voting for the president, that people believe their vote doesn't count. But ultimately, the reason why we're suffering in this time frame is because it's a Republican House. So everything that's happening is based on the fact that they're supporting these agendas. The thing that's so funny about our current president is even the Republicans can't control this guy. He is a different kind of animal we have never seen before.
Right.
But I honestly believe that one of the greatest deceptions of the media is to make us believe that we cannot have an impact. And mobilization and protesting, it does work. It just takes a great deal of persistence and then voting on the local level, but also getting involved in the local level. There's so many different gatherings and meetings and things that you can be a part of that over time is going to begin to develop a small, kind of like a small swell. And I think, the assumption is I can never talk to Trump. Yes, but you can talk to your congressman, and you can talk to your senator, and you can talk to your governor. And if we mobilize and understand, this is something so powerful, Bree, most cities are actually determined as far as the mayor and different positions by like 20% of the population because people don't go out and vote. So you got 20-30% deciding what the mass is going to have happen. What would happen if you could mobilize the entire African-American community with an agenda to say, we're going to choose who the representative is and say, you want our vote, you will comply to our agenda. And then you start at that level. The next thing you know, it mobilizes more ideas and more minds saying, okay, let's take it to the state level. We did it in the city. Let's take it to the state level. Then when you get the state level together, now it's like, all right, now let's take it to DC. So I just think as long as we understand that it's going to take time, it's not, we've marched for 2 days and now everything going, no, it's going to take a minute. But I honestly believe that with the power of God, with the actual mobilization and consistency and persistence, we'll see the change that we're looking for.
I agree. I am hopeful in a lot of ways. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to have to give you a call and tell you about this little project I'm working on. I think we really need to make sure that the process that you take and the to being elected or to changing the policy. I think we almost need to go back to like the magic school bus type, like elementary type,
yeah.
so that it seems so tangible. And so I'm working on something to make sure that these processes don't seem so far out of our reach, but they seem like something that's easy to obtain and something that we actually know how to maneuver. So I'm going to make sure I give you a call and see what you think about that. But tell us how we could listen. Tell them to stay out of my DMs and then tell them how they can reach you and tell them don't be asking me.
First of all, you look so beautiful tonight. Look at you. You all fly. Nah, y'all can follow me at Pastor YPJ on anything. And I appreciate the Millennial Cafe. I'm so blessed that I met Reverend Bree when we were at the Word Network. She really is not only a brilliant mind, but someone that I believe God is going to use for what you just said to help us to have a more clear understanding of what we need to do moving forward. So I appreciate the gift of clarity that you have. And I appreciate your boldness. So I look forward to hearing about what you're going to be doing. And I'm excited to support it.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Pastor. And so, listen, I hope I don't have to tell nobody to follow you. You have had repost from Cardi B, and that's my best friend in my head. So I don't need to tell nobody to follow YPJ, but I mean, if you happen to not be doing it, go ahead and do it. I mean, this is the person who has like, 1 million views on a number of videos on YouTube or something like that.
Sound like that,
Oh,
it's the Lord. It's the Lord's doing.
So cute and humble, friend. But listen, I'll talk to you a little later. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I know you do like 50, 11 Zooms an hour. And so I really do know that you're probably, I know you've stretched thin. So I don't take for granted that you took time out of your day to come spend some time with us. So I want you to know we love you. I love you every day.
Hey, girl. I love you too. Tell Pastor Welton to give me my money. He don't owe me no money. I'm just talking crazy. Tell him I'm gonna call him. I love y'all.
First of all, he acting up anyway because he had to go ahead and be last. I was looking for him in the middle.
That's all it was. No, he didn't want to be. He wanted to be last because he's royal. He probably can hear me right now. Pastor Welton, you are royalty. I love that dude. All right, girl.
Take care.
Bye.
So thank you so much for spending some time with us to hear from Pastor YPJ. Now we're going to go ahead and kick it to a friend, even though we made fun of him, you're going to love him. If you don't know him, you're going to fall in love with him. And if you do know him, you're going to be like, here you go, Welton. So Pastor Welton Smith from New Life in Detroit.
I feel some type of way.
Okay, how you feeling?
I've been sitting here. I've been enjoying. I heard First Lady Bree. Then I got kicked to the curb because the sexy pastor came on. So you YPJ shows up, I just get kicked to the curb, man. But I mean, what's up, Bree? I'm glad to have this time with you, man. How are you?
I'm glad to have you here. I'm as good as I can be. I mean, I have to always look at the positive. But I have to be honest. We just had my grandbaby. For those of you who don't know, I helped to raise my niece and nephew with my mother because my sister's deceased. Before then, she was sick. And so I have 2 grandbabies. I have a 1-year-old grandbaby. He's a boy. He turned 1 on Friday. And I have a 3-year-old. And I also have a nephew son who is 24. So, Pastor Walton, I have to be honest. I am hopeful. But you can't help but letting this run through your mind. Like, what happens, if this happened to me, if that's my child, what do I do? And I just pray to God it don't happen because I don't know if nobody gonna believe in my ministry no more if I have to get up there and do a press conference over my dead babies.
Yeah, it's a pain that I don't want to be acquainted with, nor is it one that I can carelessly say I understand. This is a day for all of us that I don't think nobody really know how to feel. That's why we thank God for you. Conversations like this help us get through the rough days.
Yeah, I know. I know that there's a lot going on, but COVID is still alive and well. Okay. Yeah. COVID is spreading maybe faster than the gospel, unfortunately. So we need to probably get on that because I tell you, COVID is everywhere. Okay. Just like New Life Anywhere and New Life in Detroit.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? No, for real. It is everywhere. It's not. It's not a game, and it's nowhere near over.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be living in fear of it, but I definitely think we should be aware of it.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Everybody was making this like switch to digital, but I mean, New Life Anywhere was already anywhere and everywhere they wanted to be. So I know you didn't have to make a whole lot of adjustments as far as mindset, but someone who's been extremely innovative. You're one of the most innovative people I know. As a matter of fact, I had Mike McClure on, and I said, Mike McClure is the most, and I said, wait a minute, he's one of the most innovative pastors in the country. And no, and I had to stop because of you. You're extremely innovative, but surprisingly, but not so surprisingly, you kicked it up a notch when COVID happened. And I don't know where you would go from there, but you seem to go a number of places. I mean, how you transform your church was one thing, and then, you know, the prayer for the people who were in the hospital. Tell us a lot of the things that you were doing that were new for you.
It was quite different. First, thank you, Dr. Bree, for letting me have this time to come on this platform to share with you. I think I agree with Pastor YPJ. Anybody who knows me knows I am a fan of that Dr. Breanna Parker. I think that you are one of the most brilliant, one of the most responsible and respectable voices of our generation. I think it's an insult to say female voices, because when it comes to power and authority, gender really shouldn't play a matter in definition. And so I think, number one, to have this opportunity to talk to you, and I done shared the screen with Brianna Sharp and YPJ. I done made it. So I'm excited. I think we really have to be real about what the church looks like in the future. I'm starting a series this weekend on Nehemiah, that the challenge of Nehemiah was that he has to build the new church right where the old church used to be. And the truth is, as we're building the new church, every church just closed and opened again.
Yeah.
And so our thought process as it relates to our church expectation as well as our church experience, if we are not prayerful and careful, it will actually be fatal. This, as we talk about COVID-19, this isn't a joke. This isn't a game. It's nowhere near over. And while many people are listening to government orders saying, go back, I'm not telling anybody else to do what the Lord talks to everybody about what to do. But I will say, God don't tell you to open a church and people get sick. One thing about the promise of God, if God promises me something, it comes with his protection. This is a season where leaders ought to be careful before we communicate. We ought to make sure we're responding and not reacting, because to mislead or mishear can be deadly, not just for the people in your church, but then also for, as we've seen so many others. And so I've had to be sober. I mean, really. And as I assess what the return to church, not the return of church, because the church, in my opinion, is stronger than ever. The church is stronger than ever. The problem is, this is the first time our church concept has been disrupted by a shift in culture. The church is safe. Its concept is what has shifted. You understand? There used to be a world that to receive a word, to receive revival, I needed to wait till Sunday morning, come down to the building. But there's somebody that's watching this now at 9:53 p.m. my time, somewhere around the world, that something that has been said on this live has ministered to them. I believe in this moment, God has shut down the church to open up the church.
Yeah.
It's like he closed, because we made the building God. So what he did was, since you think that's me, I'm gonna shut that down and make you find me in the place you were supposed to be looking for me the whole time. Now people are meeting God in their homes, and they're worshiping God with their families.
Yeah.
So as we talk about like what the return to church look like, I mean, I think realistically, we have to repurpose our space, these buildings. I believe that one thing we ought to do, as you and Pastor YPJ said, I think it's absolutely right that protesting is powerful, but protesting without a plan is just a picture. And pictures don't mean nothing tomorrow. At the end of the day, if we protest but we don't have a plan, all we're doing is framing moments that may not matter. As it will not happen in one protest, it won't happen in 1 week. We have to be in this thing for the long haul. And really, something I think we ought to really be telling people to do is, step one, fill out the census. Let's let's be innovative and creative with that. Open your phone, click the link, right? And be innovative and creative, and creatively hit that link and fill out that form.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that that's the answer, but I do believe it's a step in the right direction to contribute to the solution. Because the truth is, I don't see us returning back to new life anytime soon. To be quite honest, Bree, I'm not sure that I see us returning back to church the way we knew it.
Yeah, I'm with it. At best, we'll have hybrid models, Pastor Welton.
Yeah.
And I think people are like so happy to get back in the building. And I'm like, I think one thing you're learning right now, not you, but like we're learning as a whole, is that those buildings are expensive. The expenses that go along with flipping on those lights every single night for groups to be in there doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like not things that they could be doing.
I always say when it comes to church, everybody think about Sunday. Don't nobody think about Tuesday afternoon.
Listen.
Nobody thinks about how I live in Detroit. So it costs me
and I'm from
$500.
Hold on, I couldn't let you shout out Detroit without letting the people know. I'm from Saginaw. I stand up Saginaw.
No, every time it snows, it costs me $500 to $700 per push. And then after you push the snow away, you gotta pay for the salt. See, it's the stuff outside the Sunday show that makes the building so expensive.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, people say, well, I want to know where my money going to church. You don't care where your money going to church. I was just about 2 months ago, we had a bulb blowing up. It was a bulb, and Pastor Jonathan know about this because he's a musician. There was a bulb that they said, Pastor, the bulb blew in the organ, and that's why the organ not working. I said, the bulb is blowing in the organ? They said, yeah. I said, well, run up the street and buy a new one. They said, we can't. They said, we can't use that kind of bulb. So they called a specialist out. And the bulb for the organ cost $917. Now, this is what I did after that. That night, Huh? You understand? Now, here's the thing. I got him told the church, now, if y'all walk in here and the organ ain't playing, all y'all gonna be saying is, what's happening with the money?
Of course.
But how many of you really want me to show you where this bulb goes in the organ? So we don't care about stuff until it's not in place. And look at what's happened in this moment. God's moved us to a moment where the organ really don't matter.
At all.
For the first time, the media ministry or the food pantry is almost more valuable than the music ministry.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you ask your community, they will tell you it absolutely is more valuable. That's the tricky stuff, and especially when people start talking about like money. And I think people are maybe understand it a little better. Maybe their senses are a little heightened when it comes to money right now, as far as the church. But I'll never forget, Pastor Watson, I was in the bathroom one day, and this lady was talking about something. I don't even remember anymore. I have to go back, see another time when I told the story. And I forgot what the lady was talking about. And she didn't like something I was doing. And she said, I pay your salary. I said, I'm sorry. She said, my tithes pay your salary. So I was in the bathroom, I was washing my hands. I said, no, your tithes pay for the water that drips out the faucet if we don't turn it off right. You don't pay enough for your tithes to pay my salary. But that kind of ownership and territorial type attitude is just too much. And if you want to be territorial, then give. Then help your church to understand how to manage finance even better, because we have to all admit some financial brain who could come and take us to another level. But instead of doing that, you want to sit back and talk about all that should be happening. But I think you're being a great steward. Tell us how you're being a great steward of your building these days in a new way.
You're right. It's man, what we're doing here, Breeze, you say building, we repurposed our space. I got sick of seeing members of my church, because I have a lot of small business owners who, because of stay-at-home orders, were forced to shut their doors. And so as a means to keep their flow, what I decided to do was we kind of created studios here at the church, so that not only can members who are pushing their products, or maybe they've got some type of platform that they're trying to establish. I got sick of seeing pastors breathe, because there's some pastors that just weren't prepared. And just because you weren't prepared doesn't mean you're not included in the next shift. Just because you weren't prepared for it doesn't mean you're not included in it. And so there's some guys that I think COVID hit all of us out of nowhere. We were getting ready for I Believe right when COVID out of nowhere, it shut everything down. So I got tired of seeing pastors frustrated because they're trying to get the camera. You know, everybody camera is all up in it. Praise the Lord.
You play too much. You know that?
Praise the Lord. Shut up! I'm on. You know, we gotta help the people out because I don't want them to cuss at the people. I don't want them to slip up and cuss on the camera. So what we did was we built something. So now it's a studio where pastors and churches can pull up, plug up, speak up, and shut up. Okay, so our media staff is present.
Of course, that's you.
Where they,
Of course, you would say that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to worry about fumbling with what you don't know. So many people feel defeated because they don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
So rather than just pushing them out there, we built PW Studios so that people can pull up, be a part of what's happening, and find an easy way to plug into the moment without being frustrated with what you don't know. So we got the camera, we got the sound crew, we got the lighting crew, we got all the people there. And so that's just one of the things that we've done. On Good Friday, we went to 7 hospitals and fed we took $7,000 to 7 hospitals and fed the front line of every hospital because so many people had loved ones that they were praying for, but they couldn't get to them. So what we did instead, Bree, is we said, you know, the Bible says in Ezekiel 37, Ezekiel said, God, I did what you said, dude, but the bones, they can't breathe on their own. Everybody's on ventilators. And God says, since they can't breathe on their own, forget about the bodies, go prophesy to the wind and command the wind of revival to be released in the valley. So what we did is those individuals who could not get into their loved one, we pulled up on the grounds. We pulled up to the hospital and prayed. We prayed at each location. And a lot of things happened that day. There was while we were there, one of the firefighters that was there, Bree, I looked as we were praying, he just broke down crying. And as he was crying, I said, well, what's going on with him? They said, well, Pastor, they said, now see, I'm trying to get this thing to sit right. That's why.
Look, you over there acting like one of them pastors you talk about. Because you was clowning.
Right.
And then
no, what happened was I look at
we can
crying, and I said, well, what's going on? And he looked at one of the nurses and said, you're the lady who
you're moving your camera too much.
It's in my hand because I done broke the stand. See what I mean? When I done took it off to show you something, I done broke my own stand. But what he said was, he said, you're the lady that FaceTimed me 2 days ago so that my father and I could say goodbye to my mother as she died. He saw that nurse, and while he was there, looked on the other side, there was a woman in a car watching her mother on FaceTime and said, Pastor Welton, while we're out here, we're honking to tell mama it's okay to go ahead. And she's taught us what she was. There was a lot that happened in that day. So even though there's a lot of pain and a lot of death and frustration, there's still a lot of hope to be released and still a lot of work that we can still get done.
I'm with you. Listen, I always appreciate spending time with you. I didn't get to see you in March, I believe. Whatever other time I would have been in Michigan, I won't get to see you. But hey, you know, it's always good to spend a little time with a homie, even virtually. So thank you so much. I know that you have been zoomed out too. And you probably got to Zoom. You're supposed to be doing a card game party together. So we'll make that happen soon.
Yes.
But just thanks for all you're doing. You know, I love you. You know, I believe in your ministry. And I'm always excited to see what you have coming up next. So thank you again for being here. I really appreciate you.
Brie, I love you. Thank you for this time, okay?
Absolutely.
Take care.
Absolutely. You too. You too. We're going to bring back my friend, Stephanie LaFlora. We have to come back and talk about the hey, girl, hey.
Hey.
Listen, I think we had a really good night. What do you think, Stephanie?
I think so. There was a lot of powerful things that were said. When Pastor YPJ said that deception, what did he say? let me see here. He said that the deception is that we can't have impact. I wrote it down because I thought it was really good. And I think that that's really true. And he was talking about a whole host of people, including people that he admired. And I think that that's something that we are addressing today. And people are worried about doing the exact right thing. It's something that I've thought about a lot. You know, every time you post something, because, you know, people are really looking at what are you saying? And every time and I don't mean that you would say something wrong. I mean, like, people are worried. You're worried about every single word choice. Like, am I doing exactly the right thing? Did I mention this part? Did I leave out that part? And I think right now the tendency is to feel fear to do exactly the right thing. And I think the reality is that during a crisis, you cannot do things perfectly. It's not possible, you know, and you just have to be courageous enough to try and to do what you think needs to be done next, and then to course correct as you go. The failure is not doing anything, and the other failure is not listening. That's a huge failure. And so I think that that's what we're giving people the ability to do. That's what we're on here talking about every single week, is listening to each other, coming up with plans, being able to mobilize. And while everybody was talking, I just was really thinking about this. Like, imagine if we could mobilize our congregations to vote locally.
Seriously.
Imagine, like, if we could educate our congregations so that they feel confident when they vote, who to vote for, because they've had the time to work on that and ask the right questions with their church leadership. I loved a lot of the things, the ideas that were spoken about today, the different things that pastors are doing. And this show is one opportunity for people to hear from other pastors, but that pastor poll is another way for people to do that.
Absolutely.
Right? Because there's 3 pastors. Imagine if you could hear what 3,000 pastors were doing. And that's the work that we're doing here. That's what we're trying to encourage people to do. We're here to support.
Absolutely. I was so excited when we started to get like enough people to even see anything. So I'm really encouraging people to go to www.weeklypastorpoll.com/BMC, or just go to irunbmc.com/events and click the button to take the poll. And that'll really help us, because we really do want to see what Black churches are doing. You know, I do the work that I do because there was not a lot of data when it came to Black faith concerns. And so you don't have to miss your target anymore. You don't have to waste your resources anymore. At this point, you have what you need to see what your congregation, you talk about listening, to listen to what your congregation is saying by deploying a survey, to listen to what other pastors are saying by taking the survey. And this is not something you do one time. You take the weekly pastor poll every single week. You can even send out your check-ins every single week, so that you can see how people are growing or how things are evolving, or not so much evolving, right? How maybe some needs are diminishing, right? We have to.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and things have been evolving so fast. It's funny, when we first started doing this and we had the weekly cadence, I think there was kind of like, how long will this be relevant if we're doing the same stuff every week? But oh my goodness, like, that was at the beginning of COVID. Look at how much things have changed. And now to be able to still have this in this moment, when it's like, okay, we really need to get together. We really need to respond to this stuff. That's really the purpose and the intent of this whole thing.
Yeah, and do you remember, Steph, when we were first doing it, we had this mobilization segment to talk, like, where activists were coming on, and we were talking about, like, missional type work. And it probably didn't really completely make sense. You know what I mean? It was beautiful, it was necessary, it's valuable. But today it makes sense, you know? And I think that's one thing about, like, going with wherever God is leading you, because what does not make sense today totally makes sense in time. And you just kind of have to go with it until the time arrives. And so we're here to tell you that the time is now for you to go ahead and use the pastor poll. irunbmc.com/events. Take the poll yourself. Oh, not only deploy it to your so that your congregation can take it, but your community can take it. We still have community responsibility. And I know COVID has happened. I know there are protests, and so much has changed. What has not changed is the responsibility of churches and pastors to meet the needs of their community. So thank you so much, Steph, for being with me as always. I always appreciate you, and I can't wait to be back with you again next week. And so I really hope you all come back and visit us. I hope you go ahead and share this even after it's over. Start a watch party, whatever you got to do to make sure people are hanging out with us on the Book of Numbers, where we decode data for ministry. What we're doing each week is trying to see how much data we have on Black churches. And when we have more data, we can talk about specific data. This time we didn't have as much data because we're talking about protests. And so what we're going to do is tomorrow, not tomorrow, next week sometime, we will have a new check-in out, and it'll be for us to talk about race issues and the protests. And I think we're calling it a social impact. And so we'll really be able to see where you are, where the congregation is, where the community is on everything that's happening. And so I know we didn't have the data we normally have. That's because we wanted to stick with the theme of what we were discussing today. But next week when we come back, we would have had a poll out, and you'll be able to take it and tell us how you're feeling. And we'll be able to tell you where the rest of the country is and kind of where they're landing on all of this. As always, I am grateful that you spend time with me. I am grateful that you take time out of your day to come sit for the evening and talk about whatever it is we're talking about for the day. Today, it was a tough one. For the last 3 weeks, it's been pretty tough. I thought COVID was tough, but what was happening with Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and now George Ford made it even more difficult. And I must be honest, if I didn't have the book of Numbers and all of you to look forward to, it would have been a pretty low week for me, but I did get to have some light at the end of my tunnel, knowing that I would get on and talk to you, talk to Bree Sharp. Don't forget to follow Bree Sharp on social media, Pastor YPJ. He's being followed by everybody in the world, but if you happen to not be following him, follow him. And then Pastor Welton Smith. It was good to be with my friends today, and it was good to be able to hear from my friends today, and you are my friends. So thank you so much, and have a good night.